Hello, everyone. My name is Stanley St. Rose, and today we're going to be talking about the Communist Manifesto written by Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels. Now, before I go into summary analysis of this work, please remember to leave a like, subscribe, and/or comment so that the channel can continue to grow. So, basically, here's what this pamphlet is about. It's pretty much a call to action to the proletariat to overthrow capitalism, to overthrow the bourgeoisie, and the pamphlet, it begins with this idea of, there's been a struggle between the bourgeoisie and the proletariat for all of human history, where the really rich people that own the property, they oppress the proletariat, they oppress the poor people, the working class, the people that sell their labor for wages. And they say that this is not the best form of government, this is not the best form of economics. The best form of economics, what they argue, is where nobody owns anything. So no private property, no massive landlords, no massive conglomerates, no massive businesses and industries that are owned by a small group of people or one person. They say this always leads to the proletariat suffering. This always leads to the workers being taken advantage of, being oppressed, being alienated, and they're pretty much saying they're calling for revolution. That there needs to be, or this is the main points that they argue for within this pamphlet, is that there needs to be around the world unified individual countries of communism, where the property is not owned by a specific individual, no private property, where people work for what they need, not to amass $1 billion or $1 trillion, where all the means of production is owned by the proletariat, the working class, and not the bourgeoisie, the really rich and industry owners. And then they say that this is the type of the type of government that is most successful. The communist pamphlet. This is what they argue, and they say that there needs to be a revolution where the bourgeoisie, the capitalistic economic or government is abolished, is getting rid of, and so communism can reign, not just in one country, but a unified countries that stand together in communism. They argue this. They also attack other forms of socialism and point the holes that they believe that they have in them, because they believe that their form of communism is the best, because it doesn't want any type of class system where you have a bourgeoisie class, a class that owns the means of production, and a class that does the work, that are like the peasants, the workers, the laborers. They sell their time and their work for money. So they don't want that, and that's what they argue within this pamphlet. And they say that this is the best form of government, of the best form of capitalistic. Well, not they don't want capitalism at all. This is that communism is the best form of economics, the best form of government, and they believe this is where that everybody will be free and that nobody will be oppressed. That the proletariat will own the mean of production, and everybody will just work to have what they need instead of excess. Again, this is the call to action to the that the Communist Manifesto pretty much upheld, because it believes that the bourgeoisie only cares about money. The capitalistic society, they believe that what ultimately happens is, because the bourgeoisie is hungry for money, hungry for more productivity, they're always going to squeeze the proletariat to get more, to make them more efficient, to make them more productive, to make them more, to make more money. Because in a capitalistic society, companies always want more money, and they'll say anything, they'll do anything to get more money. And so they don't see any way of a capitalistic society being successful. They believe that it always results in a give and take. A group of people rise to the top. They're the owners of land, of property, of private companies, and then the proletariat reach a point where they can't take it anymore. They can't take being oppressed or being taken advantage anymore, and so they fight back. There's a revolution and there's a reset, the capitalist society, does the same thing over again. They pretty much argue, in order for this to stop, in order for us to reach peace, we have to exist in a unified front of individual countries practicing communism. No private property, no one person or group of people owning one company or a group of companies. It's just that the proletariat as a whole owns everything, and everybody works for what they need. So this is pretty much what they argue. They also, within this manifesto, within this pamphlet, they also point holes in arguments for socialism and other types of economics or governments that just are not good enough, even though they might look similar to communism. So at the end, they do. This is kind of like a pamphlet to motivate the proletariat, to motivate people to overthrow capitalism, to overthrow the bourgeoisie, and establish a form of economics, a form of government that relies on the proletariat, or the proletariat owning the means of production rather than the bourgeoisie. In terms of analysis, in terms of deeper meaning here, this pamphlet, most countries don't agree with it. Capitalism is very popular around the world. I think communism is maybe in on paper it might seem to be reasonable, but humans, we've existed in hierarchies forever. Because human beings, we used to have kingdoms on Earth. There used to be kingdoms in every country because we pretty much organize ourselves in hierarchies in everything, in every institution, at home, at school, everything you look at. Humans, we always organize ourselves in hierarchies. That's literally the way that humans have been for all of history. And the idea that the proletariat will own everything together, it's something that humans are incapable of doing, because there's always some humans that want to work harder, that want to own, or that want to be richer than others. There's some people that don't care about being rich. There's some people in life that want a lot of money and a lot of property, and there's some people that don't want any of it. And so there's always going to be the people that rise to the top. There's always going to be people in the middle, and always going to be people at the bottom. That's just the way that the universe is. There's hierarchies in everywhere you look. And so the idea that everybody's going to be equal and just work for what they need and their means, it's just not realistic, because humans, we've always existed in hierarchy. So that's my analysis of this work. Although it calls for revolution, it calls for communism, it calls for the proletariat to take charge and owns the mean of production, I don't believe it's realistic. And the evidence I'll use for that is countries around the world. They've always looked at capitalism, at industry, at private ownership, at people working hard to build themselves up and to make their own companies and things like that. Now in America, and there are several countries around the world that practice capitalism, but they do have hints and ideas of socialism in them. So no country is truly completely capitalistic. You have laws and restrictions and guardrails in every government to make sure that the bourgeoisie, to make sure that capitalism doesn't, get too powerful. So citizens around the world in all different types of countries, there's laws and governments that protect citizens from being abused by the bourgeoisie. That's why there's minimum wage. That's why there's all types of laws that protect the proletariat. And so governments around the world that have capitalism or have socialism, that believe in that type of ideology, there are some guardrails. There are some checks and balances. There are some things that protect the proletariat, so that the bourgeoisie and the capitalistic economics or government doesn't abuse or oppress or alienate the proletariat, the working class. So that's pretty much what it boils down to. That's what the pamphlet talks about. That's my summary and analysis. Please remember to leave a like, subscribe, and or comment. And I'll see you guys in the next video.